least three things we need to be thinking about. The first thing we need to be thinking about is the notion of being able to put media in context. And often what you need to care about the Malagasy Photographer's Dispatch is someone who both understands Madagascar and understands the U.S. And historically, this is in fact what foreign correspondents did. You had someone who was on the ground long enough that they could explain to you what things were going on in a local context, why they mattered, connect them to you. Nowadays, we have a much more nebulous class of people that I refer to as bridge figures. They're people with feet in two different worlds. And so a lot of what I know about Madagascar is from my friend Luva Rakanamalala, who is an American graduate student from Madagascar, passionate about explaining his country and its importance to an American audience, and vice versa. And so when Luva tells me the story, I can make connections between what's going on in local politics and the local environment to much larger issues because he's able to guide me through it. So one of the big things we have to think about is how do we cultivate these bridge figures? How do we make it possible for them to do storytelling that puts issues in context? The second thing we need to think about is serendipity. It's very, very hard to say to someone, hey, want to know about Madagascar? To which most people go, well, no, thank you very much. I'm sure that doesn't connect to me. And the answer is you can't always make the direct connections. You sometimes have to help people stumble on things that help them make unexpected connections. It turns out that some old technologies that we had, like the front page of a newspaper, are terrific technologies for serendipity. When you look at the lower left hand of the New York Times, there's generally 4 or 5 days a week something that I refer to as the serendipity box. It's the story that you didn't know you wanted to know, but based on the headline and the first paragraph and sometimes the photo, it will pull you deep into the paper, into something that you otherwise wouldn't expect. We've done a remarkably bad job of doing serendipity in a digital age. We do serendipity of very popular media, but we're very, very bad at helping people do that deep dive into something that might work substantially for them. There's a lot of work we have to do, literally on the technology, to figure out how do we help people stumble better, and stumble in a way that they're not just getting what all their friends want to see, they're not just getting what everyone else has seen, but they're getting something that connects, although perhaps obliquely, to whatever they care about. Third thing that we know how to do, narrative works. So I read The New Yorker most weeks. And I trust that The New Yorker, generally speaking, is well written enough and well put together enough that even if something doesn't appear immediately interesting to me, it's probably worth my time. And often what happens is the quality of narrative is so high that I no longer care that I didn't know anything about Madagascar. And often by the end of the piece, I actually do care about Madagascar, and I'm now receptive to going out and finding more about it. So both by leveraging very powerful narrative and then building, perhaps with the help of bridge figures, the way to stumble on from that narrative and find out other information connected to the story that I've just heard would be an interesting way to go. But these are all very new systems and very new ways of thinking about bringing people towards this information. This is all stuff that's getting built in real time.